Hey guys, I'm 13 here. This is for YouTube. I was going to do a life update because people requested one, but I made one for YouTube and then decided to give it to my Patreon followers. So instead, for you YouTubers, I'm going to talk about my dog pooping on roofs. Let's start at the beginning. Over 20 years ago, when I first moved to Taiwan, I found a dog named Babao. And at the time, I was living in an apartment building, and I was on the top floor. And instead of having to run down all the stairs every time she wanted to pee, or poop for that matter, I would take her onto the roof of the building. Because it rains there all the time anyway, so pee's not going to make a difference. And poop, as long as you pick it up quickly enough, who cares, right? And again, the rain's going to wash away any traces. There was one problem with it. In most apartment buildings in Taiwan, you have 2 apartments per floor. So I'm going to slow down a bit just because of the wind. Let people pass. Yeah, you have 2 apartments per floor. So you go up this, one on the left, one on the right as you go up the stairwell or as you go up on the elevator. That seems to be more so the norm here. In Canada, apartment buildings, you have like 8 per floor. Like, apartment buildings are wide. Here they're high, but short. You know what I mean? High, but what's the opposite of wide? Narrow? Narrow, that's the word. So, I like this scooter in front of me. Its tail light is the letter M. I'm like, okay, I need to buy that just because of the tail light. Anyways, but yeah, the problem was when my dog was on the roof, she was young, she was a puppy, she would run around back and forth and she would play by herself. And my next door neighbor, who also had the roof as their ceiling, could hear her little puppy claws scraping around. Yeah, actually, to be totally 100% honest, there was one time where I heard her like slam her door and go upstairs, and I was like, oh shit, and the dog must be bothering her. So I went upstairs, and she had a big butcher's knife in her hand, and she was like screaming at me. Evidently she was trying to ignore it. Trying to ignore the clicking of my dog's feet, but then she just lost her temper and decided to go kill my dog with a knife. Yeah, that was over 20 years ago. So then I moved, you don't know this, just recently I moved houses. I moved from just outside of Zhongli City to a small town that's about halfway to the ocean. So I live close to the ocean now. Me and my son and I, we rode our bicycles all the way to the ocean because we live closer to it now. It still took us like half hour there, half hour back, but yeah. His bike's smaller, it doesn't go very fast. Anyways, so when I got I lived in a house, kind of like this house on the right here, like multiple floors, much higher than that. My house was more like one of these. So I moved out of the house and I moved into an apartment building. Rent's a lot cheaper. I'm not doing great for money because I've done 0 tours in the last year. I was lucky enough that COVID trapped one of my tour guests in my house, so he helped me pay rent for the last year, so I was able to survive. But he left. He went back to America just a couple of weeks ago, so I knew he was leaving, and I'm like, I can't afford rent on my own anymore. That's pretty sad. At my age, I can't afford rent. So I moved to an apartment in a small town, but luckily, I like everything. I really like the apartment. The house I lived in was very old, and all the furniture was old, the paint was old, and it had a very just I don't know, old feel about it. Like it looked like it belonged to someone's grandmother. And the apartment that I got is brand new in the sense that it was just recently renovated. So new tiles, new air conditioning, new paint, everything, new toilet, brand new toilet, like never been sat on before. And then I've been decorating it it came with furniture. Like it came with a black sofa, like pure black sofa, and a black dining room table, and a black coffee table, and I love that. The black and red are my colors, and red's not really good for furniture, so black. And then I've been supplementing the decorations with IKEA stuff, which is pretty cheap. IKEA is weird. Stuff in IKEA is either like really expensive or really cheap. It doesn't really seem to be a middle ground. I got these nice black shelves, and they're like wooden shelves, and they go up, because the apartment's smaller than the house, and I got a lot of crap. So my idea was, okay, I'm just gonna put shelves everywhere, and that way I can load my crap along the walls, and it won't be so bad. And so far it's working, and it looks okay. Anyways, so when I first moved into the apartment, I went up onto the roof to see what kind of view there is and whatnot, and a couple of things were unique. One thing was there was a bunch of there was pretty much like a fence laid down to separate my side of the roof from my neighbor's side of the roof. So boom, one problem solved. I could put my dog up there, and she's not going to walk on my next door neighbor's ceiling. And then another unique thing was I have the building next to my building. So like, it's like my neighbor through my wall, but I can't reach his door. Okay, the buildings are side by side by side. Each building has 2 apartments per floor. So if you go up my building, I'm in the right apartment. But if you were to go through the right walls on my house and travel over, you would be in the next building over in someone else's house, and we have a shared wall, even though we're not technically in the same building. Yeah, interesting. So that guy who I guess would also kind of share the roof with us, built onto his house. He built like a shed on his rooftop and claimed it for himself because it's his ceiling, which is interesting. I think technically it's illegal, and I think technically if the other residents in the building complained about it, he would have to remove it. But this is Taiwan, and one of the wonderful things about Taiwan is people don't complain for the sake of complaining, or they don't complain just because they can. Oh, another interesting side note, I went to a car wash yesterday, and I had to pee, so I went to the bathroom, which is what one does when one has to pee. And the bathroom only had a urinal for men, and that was it. There was no toilet, so you couldn't poop, and there was nothing for women. And I thought, this is awesome, because it makes sense, because 99% of the customers at that car wash will be men. So why have to like renovate the bathroom and build in a toilet just for the one woman out of 100 that goes there? She can walk down the street. She can go to 7-Eleven or whatever, or go somewhere else. Why should the owner of a store have to like go out of his way and spend money for the 1% of his clientele? And that's the same reason I think we should do away with all handicapped ramps, all braille. Oh, I'm joking. But that's different. You know, it's just a minor inconvenience for a woman. A handicap, a ramp for people in wheelchairs is something it's more than a minor inconvenience. I was joking. But yeah, but I was thinking to myself, okay, there's no way this would fly in Canada or America, because you'd have some woman that would go to the car wash and be, what the heck? Why is there only a urinal for men? What about women? You have women customers too, you know? Yeah, 1%. If they stop coming, I'm cool with that. I lose 1% of my revenue. You know what I mean? But I like the fact that it's Taiwan. No one's going to actually complain. And so same thing. This guy he illegally adds on to his house by building up a giant shed on the roof. It's not just a shed. It takes up the entire roof on his side, his entire ceiling. He added another floor to his apartment in a apartment building. Not rental, sorry. It's probably condos. Anyways, but what I noticed, here's the negative thing that at first I noticed was his second floor, his shed, has a door that opens up onto my ceiling. So he hangs up his laundry on my roof. And this is the crazy part. I noticed that there was pee marks all over my roof because it hasn't rained here recently. And I realized what this guy is doing is he's using my roof, my ceiling specifically, as a toilet. And that's why there was a fence up to keep his dog specifically on my side so it doesn't walk over to the other neighbors. Yeah, so, and at first this made me angry. And I was like, this guy's using his ceiling as a second floor and my ceiling as a toilet. What the heck? That's not cool. But I'm guessing maybe the apartment that I moved in hadn't been lived in for years, possibly. Like, it could, for all we know, like 5 years, 10 years, because it was renovated completely. So it could have just been falling apart before I moved in. Which means that guy wouldn't have any complaints using the ceiling as a toilet. And I was angry at first until I saw the dog, and the dog is, it's on death's door, it's elderly, it can barely walk. Him having to run up and down 5 flights of stairs with this dog would be a huge hassle. Plus, the man and the woman that own the dog, very polite, very classy, they just shitting out class. They're very polite, very well spoken. The man speaks good English, and yeah. So I was happy to make friends with them, and their dog is cute and dying. So I wasn't. Okay, I'm not going to complain. I considered complaining. Before I met them, I thought, okay, if I meet these people and I don't like them, I'm just going to build something myself too, directly in front of their door, so they no longer have access to my ceiling. Because if they can build on their side, I'll build on my side. But they're nice, and I like talking with them. And I can hear when they're up there, because I can hear their dog walking around through my ceiling. So I just go up and chat with them, and I bring my dog up too, and we have little doggy play dates on my ceiling, or our dogs poop on my roof. Yeah. So that's the video. I'm gonna stop it because my battery is crap nowadays. How are you guys doing?